Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach on the kickoff to the Money in the Bank pay-per-view coming up this Sunday in a series of videos that I'm putting up right here. We're going to go over each and every match going into the show. I think that WWE has a good firm grip on what this pay-per-view is going to be, but as a fan looking into what it is, it seems like it's a little soft. I mean, everybody is real excited to see who the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion is going to be when you have the ladder match at the end, which I guess would be the main event to crown it, and then you also have your normal, the way it's always been with the briefcase sort of match in your semi-main. But then, as of right now, you only have two booked matches going into the show. You've got a tag team match, and you got a Divas match. I think that Rusev versus Big E is a match that is going to be added. I don't see any other reason why Rusev would have attacked Big E on Monday after his win on Raw. But it just seems to me, when looking over the past Money in the Bank shows, there's been more than just 5 matches on a show, and I really can't pick out anything else of what there could be other than just straight up I would guess maybe Bo Dallas will get a match against somebody that it's just unadvertised, and he's doing well, and he's seems to be getting over as a babyface on WWE TV. Some people care about him, some people don't, but it just seems real sort of dry right now, as a whole show should be. I'm very lucky. I think this would be a show that I would have been interested in really seeing just for the Money in the Bank ladder matches. But as a show right now, I'm just really glad I get this on the WWE Network. I only have to throw $10 down for the whole month, and that covers me watching all of the In Your Houses that I've been watching as of late. I got to watch the whole run of Legends House, and I'm looking forward to other things that are coming up in the future. I've got a Money in the Bank, no, not Money in the Bank. I've got a King of the Ring review. Sitting here waiting to upload right now because I'm just waiting for the right time. I normally do the full show previews on a Thursday like this and get that knocked out where everything gets uploaded on that day, so there's enough time for everybody to get all fired up for the big show. Like I said, the first match I was going to talk about was Naomi going up against Paige for the Money in the Bank. No, fuck me. She's the graphic here on my screen for me. It's for the Divas Championship, and this is a very weird setup style of match. Everybody knows that Naomi is a part of the Funkadactyls, but it seems to me, especially from watching the last few weeks of TV, and especially Raw on Monday, Cameron is the wild card of this match. I have no doubt in my mind that this is going to be the end of the Funkadactyls, or it's going to be the very, very start of the end of the Funkadactyls. And I do think that this is a very, very big mistake for WWE to do. I know there is no Brodus Clay. He's working the independents now. He's been released as a part of that big deal that came out, and the Funkadactyls have been a team since basically before Brodus Clay got released. I mean, they broke up with Brodus when Xavier Woods debuted. Xavier Woods, I think, borrowed the Funkadactyls for his entrance, and this made Brodus mad. Xavier Woods, I think, beat Brodus Clay in a match, and I think he got to keep that Funkadactyls. I'm making some stuff up. I got no, not really sure. But with Total Divas, for 2 seasons, we've seen these people as a team. Naomi and Cameron have done everything together, and they've brought a part of their gimmick from the show on the Monday Night Raw. Basically, they are like a tag team. When one thing happens to one, it happens to the other. Cameron running around slapping Paige on the WWE app, trying to gain notice in the Divas title hunt, does not look good. Basically, it put shame on Naomi, even though when it just should put shame on Cameron, because when you look at one, you're always going to think of the other one. They're always, working as some sort of a team. Paige, to me, honestly, it doesn't seem like she's... I think that they know she's a good wrestler, but I don't think that WWE has faith in her as a very character that's really going to get over, whether if it's them thinking that she hasn't been there that long, but we very rarely get to see her do promos. We very rarely get to see her just go in there and kill somebody in the ring, like people has said that she should be doing from watching her NXT matches and watching her in the past. That she's a very very good skilled wrestler. They could just slap holds on and make people tap out at any time. It seems like she's got 4 or 5 different finisher sort of submission moves that she's able to do. I think that she should be going in and just killing people. Instead, we've seen her just struggle through matches with Alicia Fox, Oksana. I can't even remember who the hell she fought at the last pay-per-view. She hasn't fought Layla. She hasn't fought, them. I can't remember who she wrestled at the last pay-per-view. But it wasn't anything really to be that crazy about. But when, her first match came up as Divas Champion, and it was against Tamina Snuka, the writing was sort of on the wall that they were going to start her at the very, very bottom, and it was going to take a while for her to raise up to the top. Naomi, I think, is a girl that is in the Divas circle. She is somebody that they are trying to push to the top. They have noticed that she is a very good wrestler. I think that they do realize, because of Total Divas, she's a very likable character that people really do try to get over. And since Total Divas started, we have not had a champion on that show yet. As my guess, especially with season 1, I thought that belt was going to be put on Natalya to sort of give some little a little bit of a plug to the show. The best wrestler in their company is wrestling on that show right now. And it seemed that everything was building towards Naomi versus AJ at WrestleMania. Then she got the eye injury from Oksana, and things never really got back on pace for her. And it seems like now we are 3 pay-per-views later, and here she is getting another shot, this time against Paige. I don't think that she's going to win, for the one fact, if you look at Monday, it was sort of a clusterfuck, having Paige and Cameron out there on color commentary, and they're just basically screwing everything up, talking over Michael Cole, talking over JBL. I know that the cat fight was sort of the deal that was going down, but you could see that everybody was a little bit mixed up because they were trying to call the action, and basically the girls were stepping over each other in order to try to get their lines in. I say lines because I don't think any of that was ad-lib while they were there. But I just could see in this match basically Naomi getting her way and almost getting the win on Paige, only for Cameron to interrupt, thinking that she should be in the driver's seat right here. Naomi got this because she does have a win over Paige. It was on Main Event. You might not have seen it. I've sort of slacked on watching Main Event, even though that even on Main Event and even on Superstars has stepped up its series of matches since being on the network, trying to really, really get that going. I heard there was a good Rob Van Dam versus Jack Swagger match on Superstars, but I just haven't been able to break that streak of Superstars always being that jobberific show. Just basically not watching it and trying to get back into the swing of things. But every week I hear there's always one good match that I should always check out off of there. But Cameron and Paige seems to be the direction that WWE think that there's money to pull. I don't know if it's going to lead to a Funkadactyls breakup, or next month, be at Battleground, it would be a 3-way between Paige, Naomi, and Cameron, or if we're just going to go in a direction where Paige gets another sort of match to work out their Funkadactyl problems. Naomi versus Cameron is a deal, and in that case, 2 Divas matches on one pay-per-view, even if it is a special event and it's not on TV anymore, is something that we don't need to see. We don't need 2 Divas matches. I know that they've had a roster in the past that was strong enough in order to carry having 2 Divas matches, and this is not it. 3-way is the way to go. I'm going to pick Paige, sticking with the belts at Money in the Bank, and where they go from there, I hope, is to the 3-way, and hopefully it's going to lead to just Paige killing some more people, getting some more promos in, people getting used to seeing her out there, and just moving in the right direction of building characters. Alright, in the next segment, we're actually going to be talking about the WWE Kickoff Show for Money in the Bank. You look back at the previous, last however how many Kickoff shows, they've been highlighted by actual matches. You go to those matches, most of the time they're matches that have been filling time on SmackDown and Raw. They've had enough of a feud in order to make people want to see them have a match, but not enough time in order to put them on the pay-per-view. You go to the last 2 shows, you've seen the 3MB versus the Matadors feud. I guess you can just say main evented by Hornswoggle versus El Torito in the minis matches. In one of them, we saw where Hornswoggle had to have his head shaved. The other one was the WLC match. Those gimmicks really worked. They really got people in order to watch the Kickoff Show. It was almost training people, basically, that the WWE pay-per-view started at 4:30 instead of at 5. From watching the Kickoff shows, honestly, in my mind, They're doing a whole lot of work in order to try and sell the pay-per-views. I know the numbers came back for the last WWE pay-per-view, and in the United States, where the pay-per-view is still available on pay-per-view on some systems, as well as it's still, as always, going to be on the WWE Network, where you can get it for $10 a month. If you go back to last year's show, they still maintained 25% of the people that bought last year's, what was the last pay-per-view called? Payback, rather than, getting the network. And the network's available everywhere in the United States where you have internet. It's just crazy that somebody would have paid $40 for that show instead of paying for 4 months worth of the network. Just people get the network. It's well worth it. I've been watching a lot of the In Your Houses, like I talked about before. King of the Rings are good. You can go back and watch the previous Money in the Banks. Almost everything in the world is on there. It's only going to get bigger and better as we go along. You're going to get your money's worth. There's no reason you should be calling up Dish TV or wherever and paying $40 in order to watch the show. You can get it for $10. Don't be scared off about the, you're locked into 6 months or whatever it is. People have proved on the internet that you can get around that. If you really need to cancel, you can cancel and nothing bad's going to happen to you. But for this month's, kickoff show, they're not going with a match. They're going with just a Daniel Bryan interview, where basically the fans, they can write in, and I was going to say Josh Matthews would ask the questions, but Josh Matthews just got released, much like how we were talking about 3MB with Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre getting shown the door earlier. Basically, like Renee Young or somebody on the WWE announcing team will be asking Daniel Bryan these questions. It goes back and reminds me a lot of Hell in the Cell 2012. I wouldn't grab this DVD because I thought I was going to show it off to you and bring this up. At this show, John Cena was injured. They felt that they needed to have John Cena on the show in some way, so they put him on the kickoff show doing a Q&A, which was very, very bad. I was going to review it so I'd remember what they asked him on there, but it's not on the DVD. Hell in the Cell wasn't released on Blu-ray, so they didn't put it on there. The only video exclusive they give you is Matt Stryker interviewing Sheamus. So the John Cena Q&A is lost forever. But I don't really see anything big coming from this. Daniel Bryan could answer the fact on where Brie Bella is. When Daniel Bryan and Brie were still a part of the WWE, creative team before they found out that Daniel Bryan's injury was worse than it was. They did the whole angle where Brie quit on Stephanie. I'm very surprised that they haven't just sort of scrapped that whole deal and just, brought Brie back and acted like, she's tag teaming with Nikki and it's no big deal. Of course, we also saw, Brie and Nikki fight at WrestleMania for a second. They never followed up on that. So I'm not sure. But maybe they just sent Brie home in order to take care of Daniel while he's injured. It's not really a honeymoon since he's trying to get back into shape and get, that the neck and the arm issue all worked out. But maybe they can sort of live together on their own, and maybe it's worth it to the Danielsons to sort of live together to get this relationship kicked off in the right direction, and not just rushing back out on the road because Daniel is the champion and they gotta live up. I don't really know what questions you're gonna ask him. If a fan was to write in and say, hey, when you get to come back, when you get to fight again, he doesn't know. It's not like he's gonna be able to say that he's gonna take Wade Barrett's place if he is injured and be able to get into the show. One thing you really can look at is they've already announced that the kickoff team is going to be highlighted by Christian on the panel. We haven't seen Christian there in a long time, and I can't even remember the last time Christian had a match. I can't remember when he got injured. I remember it was a concussion problem, and I think it was sometime after SummerSlam last year when he had the match with Del Rio, which they sort of hyped like his retirement match if he didn't lose. And then he lost, and he still was having another match. So it didn't make sense to me. But Alex Riley and Booker T will be there with them. I don't really know. Maybe you can ask him where Brie is. Maybe Brie will be there. Maybe they could bring up this sort of angle. We saw Stephanie McMahon get a whole lot of heat, and basically be the main angle of Monday Night Raw. On Monday, basically, with her versus Vicky Guerrero, which ended up not being a real match. I thought maybe that, Stephanie would sort of use that as a way to get in the ring and move around and sort of get used to it, because I think a lot of people really want to see Brie versus Stephanie. I think that's a match that people want to see. and it definitely would. I don't know if you can really call that the Divas division if it's Stephanie, but that definitely would be a big angle for WWE. And sort of, Vince isn't on TV. I know that Triple H is in sort of this role where he's not a wrestler, and he's like the corporate guy, sort of like the Vince McMahon. And when he comes back and wrestles, it's a real big deal. But if Stephanie was to get in the ring for the first time, and I would guess 10 years. I don't know when her last match was. I think it was against her dad, but I'm not really sure. They did a lot of the things when she was on SmackDown where they put her in matches on SmackDown against Brock Lesnar, and I think she had a match against Kurt Angle as well, as a way to sort of, punish her for being a good girl. But I don't know. I don't really see a whole lot coming out of this. He's not going to put himself in the Money in the Bank match. He's not going to say that he's better, and I don't really see him saying he's the number one contender for the title, and he wants a shot at Battleground. I don't see him promising us that he's going to fight at Battleground. I just see him as saying, I had surgery, I thought I'd be better, I'm not better yet, but I promise, when I am better, I'm going to get back in that ring, and I'm going to do as much as I can. The people are the ones that got behind me and put me into this position, so I have to go out there and I have to fight the best I can in order to, get myself to the top once again. So that's what I think about the Money in the Bank kickoff. We'll leave that with that, and we'll go on to the next match. Alright, next match here, we're going to talk about some good old tag team wrestling. One of my favorite things that there's been, and WWE honestly has really been lacking on this in a good little while. If you go back to WrestleMania, WWE, it wasn't the best tag team roster that they've ever had in a long time. But the fact that they were able to open up with a four corners elimination tag match was awesome to me. You had the Matadors, you had Ryback, you had the Real Americans, and you had the Usos all out there fighting over the WWE Championship. All excluding the Matadors, I thought were a good team that they could have picked up the titles and been able to have a good run with them. I was honestly hoping that maybe the Real Americans would pick them up, how they were a team for so long with so much talent on that team with Jack Swagger and with Cesaro not ever picking up the titles. It really didn't make any sense to me. It would have been great to add to both of those guys' resumes as in having a good tag team title run. It wasn't made in the stars, I guess you can say. The Usos picked up a championship, and honestly, I remember when they won the titles on Monday Night Raw in that very surprising win over the New Age Outlaws. I think they beat them in under a minute week one, and then they came back the next week and they had a match and they won again. And that one, they won the titles. It just seemed to me like it wasn't that much of a big deal. They didn't really hype up the match. There wasn't a good reason for them to have a match. There wasn't a good reason for the Outlaws to lose the championship. Maybe they were, getting the idea of putting the Outlaws into the match with Kane, and the tag titles weren't going to be on the line. And they were like, well, what are we going to do with all these guys? Are we just going to have them have a match to be, number one contender, or should we put the title on them to really do it? The Usos are a team that really caught my eye a long time ago. I thought that then 2011, 2010, whenever these guys debuted, and they were coming out there, and they had Tamina Snuka with them. They were a badass team. One of them couldn't jump from the mat to the top turnbuckle to save their life. 2 weeks in a row, they go to do the big splash, and 2 weeks in a row, the guy slips off the top rope. If you go back and watch it, or you might just remember it like I do. Whenever I think of the Usos, it's the one thing that really comes to mind about their whole debut time. The Usos, they should have won the championships back then. They really started fighting. They had a deal built up with them, almost like Daniel Bryan, where it was like part of their deal where they wanted to beat the Shield. It was their main objective. We saw that they would go out there and they would have matches. They'd be able to stand up against them, but they weren't able to ever get the job done. That's when they started painting their face and trying to go with a different sort of mystique about them, and they thought that was going to be what put them over the top. And ends up they just started painting their face. Maybe they got a T-shirt out of the deal. Maybe they did whatever. Maybe the kids like them a little bit more. I'm not sure, but it took a little bit more than that for them to be able to complete the package. Finally, they were able to beat the New Age Outlaws, like I said, and since then, they really haven't been that great of champions. They've had matches. They've won some. They've lost some. We've seen them trade wins and losses with the Wyatt brothers, with Luke Harper, and with Eric Rowan. We see them have singles matches where, like on Raw this week, one beat one and one beat the other one. Honestly, to me, this isn't much of a feud. Like I've said, the Usos' first run with the title hasn't been that great. But if you look at the Wyatts, the way that they came in during last summer, before SummerSlam, I think is when they debuted. They built up to having that first big match against Kane, the Ring of Fire. I think it was the Ring of Fire. I think they played Johnny Cash, if I'm not 100% sure. I can't really remember what the hell they called it, but it was something. And I remember Johnny Cash was somehow involved. But, you can easily say the Wyatts haven't been what you thought they were going to be. Built up. Everybody thought it was cool that he had the big match against John Cena. I think a lot of people were expecting Wyatt to go over that, and WWE being WWE, had Cena go over. And I guess when you look at the final score, it's 2 wins to 1 in their battle of 3, and John Cena wins the war. Wyatt did get the win in the steel cage match that some people either loved or some people hated. I haven't really heard many people in the middle. I just didn't understand why Cena wouldn't jump out of the cage. Even if it was, he was going to fall down on Rowan, he would have had the win. He would have been able to move on, and he would have been able to beat him. Maybe when he even jumped down onto Rowan, he would have took him out with the splash, and then he would have the advantage, and he could have, sort of got out of there looking like a winner. But I don't know. They brought the little kid in. I was just thinking about that little kid today. We haven't seen him since Extreme Rules and what the hell happened to that kid. But, if, the Wyatts were able to pick up the championships, I think it would put them in a different class and make them look like they were actually doing something. You can easily see on Monday they came out, they had their new entrance music with the accordion playing. He's got the whole world. I don't know if that means that the Cena feud must continue or if that means, they just give him their own identity. But, anytime you ever look at guys, they get a new theme, they get new sort of tights and appearance. They're going to put the straps on them. They don't go out and just give guys their own entrance music, their own entrances, if they're not going to do something with them. Easily, in my mind, I think the Wyatts have this match. I think it's going to put them in a different class where they're able to move forward. Don't feel bad about the Usos. It's not like these guys are getting released. It's not like they're going to be, 2 of the best baby faces in the tag team division. They're not going nowhere. I'm sure within 6 months they have the straps again. I don't think the Wyatts are going to hold the belts for a long time. They looked pretty cool holding them on Monday. Bray said that, once we're all champions, that it'll complete the whole master plan. But I'm moving towards that. The Wyatts, taking I don't know why I call them the Wyatts. Neither one of these guys. Maybe it's just the Wyatt clan. Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, I think they're winning the belts. I think that's what's going to happen. What do you guys think? Alright, the next match we're going to talk about Rusev versus Big E. I'm going out there on a limb. This match wasn't announced in the WWE Monday Night Raw. It wasn't announced online yet. It sure wasn't allowed. It sure wasn't announced on the SmackDown spoilers. But I'm going out on a limb. I know that they fought last month at Payback, and I thought they had a really, really good match. And I know that nothing really had been brought up to the point. But when Big E won his match, Rusev came down there and gave the big Rusev crush, put the big beat down on Big E. And I don't know why they would put that on Monday Night Raw if they're not going to use that at least on the kickoff or at least on the pay-per-view. Daniel Bryan has already filled in the mystery hole on who's going to be in the kickoff, which we just talked about. So Big E versus Rusev must be a match, right? If not, screw it. We'll just go from there. Last month, I thought that Big E and Rusev had a really good match. I thought that Big E coming out, doing the whole Hacksaw Jim Duggan thing where he came out waving the American flag, but he had his eyes all bugged out. You can't do the Big E. You're the fucking man, Big E. I haven't met you yet. I feel bad. I got out of your line last year at SummerSlam. But there's going to come a time. This year at SummerSlam, I'll be looking for you, buddy. And I think that you're a big-time future talent in the WWE. I think that you're definitely going to be a World Heavyweight Champion. Sooner than later, I think that you have all that it is to be made of. We saw that they sort of put you in that spot right away with you sort of being in the John Cena Friends group with, I think it was Cena. I think when Punk was still there, it was Cena, Punk, and Big E were a team that tag teams on Monday Night Raw a few times, or maybe it was Sheamus, Cena, and Big E. But Big E was a guy that I sort of thought was going to be put into the Money in the Bank. I thought that, maybe he wouldn't be the best, ladder climber, doing spots like that, doing monkey flips off the ladder and stuff like that. But he definitely would be a big guy. They'd be able to, show him, sort of like, just full on running full steam into the ladder, dumping it over so guys can take the big spots and someone can get there. I think that Big E does need to find his spot in the WWE. Everybody's going to remember that big sort of thing where he does bum rush Rusev, and him and Rusev being big bulky dudes, the spot where they fell out of the ring to the outside with nothing really there to catch him. It sort of took everybody by surprise, and everybody gave him a real big sort of gasp. But it just goes back to 80s style wrestling, having big dudes in the ring, Warlord, Hercules, Hernandez, maybe Haku is always a big dude, but not really the kind of biggish I'm looking for. I'm really going for just full-on big dudes. They just get in there. They can't work all that well, but they just beat the piss out of each other. And that's what I'm looking for. Hopefully in this one, I'm going to pick Big E to get the win over Rusev. I know that everybody's got to help somebody out in order to get somebody over. You trade wins back and forth. It sucks that Big E didn't get that one, but he's sort of, in a lull right now, since losing the title that he had. He wasn't really getting wins with the championship, with the Intercontinental title, and now that he doesn't have it, he's not really getting that many wins either, unless they're just in full-on squash matches like it was on Monday. But definitely 3 big talents to watch: Big E, Bo Dallas, and Rusev. And as long as those 3 guys are climbing, I think we have our future class. I don't want to give up on the guys like Wade Barrett, The Miz, that sort of things. I know that last year, or it was 2 years ago, I was really saying that it sucked that they were on the WrestleMania pre-show, but they were going to be, moving forward. And I don't even really think they've taken steps from where they were. But I don't know. I can't really think of a whole bunch to really talk about this match, because we talked about it last month, and they only got in an altercation one time. So I think I'll enjoy this hamburger, and we'll move on to the next video. Peace out. Hey, what up, everybody? Here we go with the next match. This is going to be what is titled the Money in the Bank Contract Ladder Match. It's a very the way this whole thing was all set up. They threw a little bit of a curve by saying that the main event this time was going to be for the actual WWE Championship. They had to strip Daniel Bryan, so they're going to do one with the big stars where that person's not going to have the briefcase, but they're going to win the gold right away. A little bit of a change, but I mean it is one good way to get them kicked off with a new champion. Going month after month with no belt is a little bit weird, so I was glad they were able to put this together so 7 other stars would be able to, sort of steal the show in a way, I guess you can say. The Money in the Bank never has ever been used the way that it was created. It was first created as a WrestleMania match where somebody would win the match and hold on to that briefcase in order to main event next year's WrestleMania. Never have we ever seen anybody hold the Money in the Bank briefcase and hold on to it long enough to take that main spot at WrestleMania. We've seen guys like Edge cash in at the opportune moment after John Cena was beaten down at an Elimination Chamber match, only to walk in and win the belt. We've seen Rob Van Dam have enough balls to straight up challenge John Cena to wrestle him at an ECW event in order to win the title there. We've seen guys cash in after matches. Damian Sandow, one of the guys who has lost, much like John Cena had enough balls to call somebody out and challenge him to a match right away, only to lose. I would hate to see anybody lose with the Money in the Bank briefcase. We've always wondered, what would it be like? John Cena sort of bit the bullet. He, cashed in for Raw 1000 in order to make that a really big, huge show with the Rock coming back, a John Cena versus CM Punk main event. 1,000 other things happened on that show along the way. It was almost like a mini pay-per-view for all the fans to make sure they were gonna, dive in and get a huge thing. Lots of stars. We've got guys that have been there before. Kofi Kingston because he wasn't in those first ones, but I think he's been in as many Money in the Bank ladder matches as anybody else has been. I think he's got the most experience in these things. He's much like Shelton Benjamin, a guy that's going to go in there and do whatever he has to do to show off that he deserves a better spot than he's in right now in the WWE. Rob Van Dam, Dolph Ziggler, Jack Swagger. you sort of take Swagger out of the pact. He's not really a Money in the Bank guy, even though he's won one of these matches. He has cashed in, and he has won the title off of this deal, but, you know, the experience of winning this thing and knowing what to do. I think Barrett was in it last year. Seth Rollins, this is his first one. I was about to say Dean Ambrose as well, but he was in that heel Future Stars one, you know, sort of like, you know, giving the shaft to the Shield. It was sort of pulling him away from the Shield, and everybody was looking forward to the day that they were going to break up. You know, it seemed like all the way from last year's WrestleMania until this one, everybody was counting the days until it was the last days of the Shield, and now that it's here, nobody wants it. But I don't know. A lot of people are picking, you know, Seth Rollins as the sort of pull-ahead guy to be, you know, the number one contender to win this deal. I think Kofi is always going to be Kofi. Rob Van Dam hasn't really won a match since he's been back. There's a lot of, you know, sort of, you know, speculation on Ziggler that because of his concussions, he's not going to move on to the next deal. Oh, there was a lot of people, you know, got to cover Wade Barrett's injury that's going to happen tomorrow on SmackDown. No word if he's going to be able to compete at Money in the Bank or if he's going to be out for a good little while. But that was involved in a match with Jack Swagger. And a lot of people will say that there's heat on Swagger for being a guy who injures guys. The way I look at this, I wasn't there. I'm not a wrestler. You're not a wrestler. But I'm just defending my guy since a lot of, you know, rotten tomatoes were thrown at my guy. You know, a lot of people say that he's the guy who gave Ziggler the concussion. He was in the ring when Ziggler got the concussion, yes, but that wasn't Ziggler's first concussion. Ziggler has a very sort of, you know, bump easy sort of way of doing things in the matches, sort of like, you know, a way of sort of stealing the show. You know, Jack kicked him in the head, but it wasn't his first concussion, and once you get your first concussion, you become very, you know, easy to concussion. So I don't really look at Swagger as a guy who's dangerous in the ring. This isn't Wade Barrett's first shoulder injury. So, you know, once you've been beaten down on that shoulder, it's just easier to injure it again. Who knows if it's the way he threw him into the barricade or if it's the way the guy hit the barricade. I'm not here to defend the guy. I'm just trying to say, you know, you can't always go right out and say it's one guy who did it, even though none of us had seen it. You know, barely any of us were at that show that SmackDown was taped. Maybe it's 8 o'clock on Thursday here on the West Coast. Sooner than later, the people that get SmackDown first, they'll be uploading it. We can see it from there. You can wait until it airs on your television. But there's discussion that, you know, maybe because Christian's going to be there, he's on the Kickoff Show. Maybe much like, you know, Kofi Kingston. I think it was Kofi Kingston on the pre-show last month where he learned that he was going to be on a match, or maybe that was on Monday Night Raw. I can't really remember it. He was against Bo Dallas, though. I do remember that. And I think that Kane came out and killed Kofi. Maybe that was on Raw. I can't really remember. My apologies. But maybe they'll just, you know, tap Christian to get into that match. It's a weird match to have your return to, but you know the Christian's going to get a pop in that babyface role. But I look at it as a guy like Christian, is that he's sort of in the WWE family. But if I was Christian, especially when those last releases came out, do you want to be the smallest fish in a really big pond, or do you want to end your career as, you know, a big fish in a small pond? I think he could add more to TNA than basically he can add to WWE. It'd be cool if he comes back. What's the most that Christian's going to do? Win the Intercontinental title again? Win the U.S. title again? I don't really see him having a big feud. Last year at SummerSlam, they gave him the match. At SummerSlam, one more match. To me, it seemed like it was a retirement sort of deal. He didn't get the win. You know, that was it. I didn't care about that match. I don't see myself really caring about a Christian match again. It's not like you're going to bring Edge back for an Edge vs. Christian sort of tag team affair. Maybe Christian versus Jericho might mean something if you can get them on the same page to sort of have the relive WrestleMania 20. But I'm not holding my breath for it. I don't really see anything out there. A lot of guys in here. Of course, I would love my boy Ziggler to get the win here. I love it. Ambrose to get it. Maybe you have Ambrose and Seth Rollins feud over the Money in the Bank case. Love to see Ziggler have another run with it because, of course, because of his concussion, he was taken out as the World Heavyweight Champion. I think they stripped him, and then Del Rio became the champion. No, it was Swagger and Del Rio had the money, or the ladder match. The winner of that became the #1 contender, and then Del Rio beat Ziggler, I'm pretty sure is the way it went down. So I'd love to see Ziggler get another run with the Money in the Bank briefcase where he can cash in and become champ again. RVD, everybody loves that guy. I know he's on the back end of his career, but WWE's got to give him something as a big splash to sort of say thank you for coming back. Seth Rollins, easy as your #1 guy here. He seems to be the guy that Evolution wants to be getting behind and pushing to the top. You can call him Evolution, you can call him the Authority one way or another. But it seemed to me they put a big emphasis on if Ambrose gets in this match and things don't go to plan, Rollins was going to be the guy that had the egg on his face. It was all going to fall on Rollins that things didn't go to plan. So maybe if you do that, maybe you have some sort of dissension in the Authority. Everybody's getting pissed at Rollins for making it where Ambrose got into the match, but Ambrose didn't. That Rollins didn't really want Ambrose just running down there causing a muck every time he caused every time he was getting close to grabbing the briefcase. Ambrose would just run in there, not officially in the match, and just push it over. What are the referees going to do to get him out of there? You're going to send every single referee to sort of push Ambrose to the back. It's just not going to happen easily with no Triple H on this match. Easily this is the match that Triple H can get involved in. Definitely trying to find his guy pushed to the top. I'm not 100% sure that's going to happen after I say that, because I think the push is for Roman Reigns and Triple H. So it would be sort of weird if Triple H got involved in this match and Roman would come down. But then again, people are saying that they're sort of pushing the Shield in all different directions, even though they're all still wearing black. At the end of the day, they're sort of like, they were a team, they were really good, but they're not a team anymore. I know that, the last time we saw Reigns and Ambrose was on Backstage Pass, and they were saying that they're brothers for life and they fight together, but since then it seems that things have changed. The biggest question of this match is going to see if Wade Barrett is going to be there, if it's going to be a 6-man, is it going to be a 7. Are they going to replace him? What is the big spot that Ziggler and Kofi are going to do to make sure that people remember this match over the championship match? So it's going to be a good one. We're going to love this one. We're going to love the main event, and we're going to talk about that one in a minute. Alright, here we are with our main event, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship ladder match. This is one that needs to be done, but it is sort of sad. We talked about earlier about Daniel Bryan being stripped of the WWE Championship. He's going to be there during the Kickoff Show. He's going to be talking and answering questions about where he is with his return to wrestling and what he's been doing in his time away, and hopefully they'll answer questions about the Brie Bella storyline that they were running. I don't know. When they added Kane the last minute to this match, it sort of, I don't know. On one hand, it was expected, and on the other hand, I just look at this and I'm like, 8 dudes is a lot of guys to have in the ring for this ladder match, especially when you look at this, and there's definitely a few guys that don't even really deserve to be in this match. I guess you can put Kane in there because he's the authority figure for the Authority for Evolution. They want to make sure that Roman Reigns does not win the Money in the Bank. They don't want him to walk away with the championship. Of course, the night that Stephanie McMahon got puked on, or the night that Stephanie McMahon puked on Vicky Guerrero, that was their one thing as they left the arena, that for Vicky to make sure that Roman Reigns did not get involved in the 30-man Battle Royal, make sure that he did not get in it, because they did not want him to win it, and they did not want him to go on and be in this main event. So, that is what Kane's main job. Go out there, make sure that Roman doesn't win. I'm sure in the back of his mind, they're probably telling him, make sure that Randy wins, but I think if Kane gets the opportune moment, I think I can see Kane going for it himself. Sheamus, always sort of treated as one of the main guys in the WWE. Right now as the United States Champion. That sort of puts a little bit on him as sort of like he's a main guy. But that United States Championship to me is a death sentence. Ever since, going back to before Cesaro had it, you get that title on you, and it's almost like we don't need to give you wins on TVs or pay-per-views because you're the United States Champion. At the end of the day, you got some gold around your waist, or like Sheamus does, wear it around his shoulder. It's going to make you look better when you come out. People won't think of you as a loser because you're still the champion. Alberto Del Rio, I thought this guy was done after WrestleMania. Every single person in the sheet said that his contract was up. WWE didn't, they couldn't find a way to re-sign him. You know, they did want to make him a big star, but Del Rio is tired of being on the job squad. I don't know if he signed some sort of short-term extension, or maybe the sheets just didn't know what the fuck they were talking about, but I remember that the WrestleMania Battle Royal was supposed to be his send-off. It was supposed to be no more after that, and here he is, still there, not winning, doing what Del Rio does best. Cesaro, a future star in my mind. They probably put him in this match a little bit too early. He's the guy that would have been more fit jumping into that actual briefcase one. Cesaro as a heel doesn't need to go on the chase, but I think it would be fun to see him go on the chase for that first belt. But I think everybody knows sooner or later he's going to be champion. He's going to be in a main event status there. He has the look, he has the feel. When you take a step back and you look at Cesaro, he is a real wrestler. And when you look at Roman Reigns, you see the same thing. You know, he's got the same pedigree as The Rock. A lot of people are thinking that he's going to get pushed all the way there. He definitely is a guy who does need to be on the chase. I don't think that he's ready yet. I don't know when you can ever really tell somebody that he's ready, but you'd hate to see Roman climb up there and grab it, and then just people get sick and tired of seeing Roman win and just feeling that he didn't really deserve the spot, and people turn on him, much like they did with the Die Rocky Die with Rocky Maivia and the Intercontinental Championship. When you talk about guys that you really think that have a shot at winning this, John Cena and Randy Orton. Randy Orton, I think if he does win it, you know, it sort of puts them back to a year ago at SummerSlam when he cashed in, being the main guy for the Authority. Who's going to be the guy to step up and stop him? You know, who's going to be a guy that, you know, could be a valid, you know, could Randy win this and John Cena be the number one contender for the Battleground? I know that, you know, they had a ladder match at TLC, and in that one, you know, it was for the merging of the two belts. The World Heavyweight Champion and the WWE Champion became one. They found a way to unify them after years. I remember WrestleMania 27 was supposed to be built all around unifying the titles. And people complained that they'd seen Cena and they'd seen Orton fight just too many times throughout the years. There was no reason in having them in another match. And people just soured on it. And I thought they had a good match. I thought it well delivered. Cena being tied up in the ropes, trying everything he could do to try and stop Orton from going up there and winning the titles. Anybody who didn't buy that show, anyone who hasn't seen that match, jump on the WWE Network tonight and make sure you watch that, because that was a show stealer. One of the guys that is a surefire, you know, it seems like guy going towards it is Bray Wyatt. In my mind, Bray doesn't really fit this match. I think it would be fun if he did win the title in John Cena's hometown. But if you do have Bray win, it sort of says you have to have Bray versus Cena have a match again for match number 4. And I think that there's a lot of time for that, and I don't think you need to see it now. I think people are burned out on this. It didn't go the way that people wanted, and it just wasn't all for it. I think this is going to be a good match. You definitely got guys in there. Unlike the other one, you don't have guys out there that want to take the killer bumps to get noticed. This is the main event. These guys have already done everything. They don't need to, you know, get there. You know, in the other one, they've got Kofi Kingston. They got Dolph Ziggler. We know Sheamus. You know, Sheamus has put guys like he did with Sin Cara through ladders in this spot. So it's built around him doing it. But you have to find the guy who's gonna, you know, risk his body. I can see Del Rio. Maybe, you know, doing something stupid. But then again, why would Del Rio want to do it if everybody's so right about this guy? You know, desperately trying to leave the WWE. But if he is trying to leave, what's he going to go to? We see Sin Cara. He's right now down there in Mexico having a ton of trouble trying to get booked. You don't even know what to call him. On non-televised shows, he's wrestling as Sin Cara. And then on television shows, he can't even wrestle as Sin Cara because they're too scared they're going to get sued. That he can't wrestle under Mystico because they've replaced Mystico. So now he's got some, I don't know if it's Mystical, like the rapper, but it's something close to Mystico. It's sort of like saying, like, hey, I used to be this guy before I left, and really failed real bad up north. When you get to it, like I said, you got to cross out a whole bunch of names. Anybody on the left side, Kane, Sheamus, Del Rio, Bray Wyatt. I definitely see them as guys that can't do it. Guys that are right there on the cusp are Roman Reigns and Cesaro. Do you want to give it to them right here at the Money in the Bank, or do you want to see them win in a one-on-one match? Anytime anybody wins the gold for the first time, you want to see them win it in a real fashion. You don't want to see them... I guess you can say that they overcame the odds of having to beat 8 guys, or I guess if you are one of them, you beat 7 guys in order to win the big one. But to me, winning the big one is just you one-on-one in the ring with the champion and getting it done. Everybody knows the rumors, and we'll talk about spoiler alerts if you wanted to turn it off here. But, everybody knows that WWE somehow spoiled the SummerSlam main event. Even though there is no belt, it does not say WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. The SummerSlam main event as of right now is going to be John Cena against Brock Lesnar. One of the biggest matches that you could do. And why you would do this match, and it's not for the WWE Championship, I have no clue, but there is a good argument that it does not say title on there. There is no picture around John Cena's shoulder, nothing around his waist, because you can't see that far. But, Brock has done just about everything. He did lose to Cena. He did lose to Hunter. But, he's beat the CEO. He's beat CM Punk. He's beaten The Undertaker and taken Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania. Basically when he left WrestleMania, he was gone, never to be seen again, only for Brock Lesnar to be talking about him. What reason would Brock Lesnar have to return? What beef does he have with John Cena? So that is my one reason. The only reason he would come back is to be the champion, to show that he is the man and take everything from WWE. He's taking their paychecks, now he wants to take their titles, and where they go from there is up to them. But I can see John Cena winning this match, and then maybe going on and having a one-on-one match with Randy Orton at Battleground. If that is the true #1 contender at Battleground, I'm not sure, but that was the guy I'd put him again, just to keep Bray Wyatt at his distance. Where Bray goes from there, I'm not sure. He sort of did scare me when he had the promo on the big screen after the Wyatts and Usos had their dual one-on-one matches, saying that they would be champions, and the whole group would rise, and I am picking the Wyatts to win the tag belts at the show, so... I don't know what direction, unless you just have him out there as a manager wrestling in matches that just don't really matter. I don't want to see Bray go after the United States or Intercontinental Champion. Keep him as that upper main event slot as where you've had him. But this is going to be a good show. It's going to be a fun one. WWE Network, only $10. Anybody who's watching this should have a WWE Network. You've seen my 2 videos stressing how the WWE Network is so awesome, how there is no way in the world, no matter how many videos people make, that the network should be canceled. The more places this rolls out, the more money that will be made. I'm sure in the long run they knew that, I'm sure they think that the U.S. numbers are down. But once you get Australia, once you get New Zealand, once you get... Europe, you just get England, London, I think that's both the same place, but fucking whatever. But once you get those numbers, once those things start rolling in, it's going to be a big deal for the WWE. The network is only getting stronger. They're only going to have more time to add more things onto it, and people are going to see how much of a bargain this is. $10, we get to see a pay-per-view that would have cost us almost $45 last year. I mean, definitely, especially... to have it in the archives where you can go back and watch it whenever you want to. You can watch it the day it is live. You can watch it, 5 minutes after it ended. You can watch it a year from there down the road, as long as you're still a subscriber. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be good times. Click 30, everybody. I don't know why I didn't click 30 if that happened so long. We're counting down the days to click 31. I guess we're counting down the days of SummerSlam as well. But Money in the Bank. Let's get this party started. Sunday, June 29th. Don't be afraid to be there. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be a great show. Peace out, everybody.